Hey everyone, this is a video for those thinking about an ambulance conversion and sort of the thought process that I went through. This one that I ended up using is a 2013 ProMedic 1. This came off, this was a Type 1 ambulance box. And I also have a 2016 Crestline box I can show you. That's a Type 3, so your Type 1 ambulance is a modular box like this that goes on a truck chassis, usually a 45 or 5500 or 450, 550, because of their size and weight. This one came off an F450 with an 84-inch cab to axle. I grew up tent camping, and then about 13, 14 years ago, I built just an small enclosed trailer on an aluminum military trailer chassis I used as a toy hauler. I could pull a four-wheeler inside of it and then pull it out when I got out west and have a nice warm dry place. Had a little solar for lights and stuff like that. Thought it was pretty handy, but ended up moving on to side-by-sides, so no longer could use that. And then bringing two little kids out west for a week, got my first truck camper. This was a 1974 Wolverine, which was pretty cool. I think it was a good first truck camper experience. A lot of storage and good organization, and kind of nice warm dry place for the kids. But the biggest thing I didn't like about a truck camper is the whole indoor kitchen. I have no interest in cooking inside when I'm camping. I had it on a flatbed, so I had a bunch of integrated toolboxes where the truck bedsides would normally be. So I had a bunch of stuff out there, but still, I could have gutted the inside, I guess, but just wasn't worth it. It's got all that space wasted with the stove and range and refrigerator and all this stuff. And then you end up going in and out a dozen times whenever you're making a meal. And then, I'd seen online here, all the stories of people doing conversions, and looked really, really like the way to go. These ambulance boxes are all aluminum and just so heavy duty, so well built. The only downside is weight, but, if you've got a big enough truck, they're just, you couldn't build one of these things it just cost a fortune just in aluminum. And you could get these boxes for $500, $1,500, bunch of them for sale. So, I already had a flatbed truck, so knew I didn't want to buy the whole ambulance. I think the biggest downside to buying the whole thing is it's just really hard to find a crew cab 4-wheel drive. I know they're out there, but pretty rare compared to all the single cab 2-wheel drives you see. And then, buying the whole ambulance, usually you're going to be looking at pretty high miles and have to deal with the headache of all the electronics that are integrated. So just buying the box, tearing out all the wiring, and, setting it on a truck chassis had a lot of advantages. Wasn't planning to gut the whole thing. Like all the storage inside and out, everything's so well built, so heavy duty. It's a shame to take any of it apart, really. But so my kitchen setup is entirely outside. So I've got my OVS 180 awning. Obviously, when it swings open, you can't open this cabinet. I should mention it's just sitting on my dolly, which is why it's so low. When it's up on the truck, this cabinet is so high, you couldn't ever really reach anything. So I just took my bracket that my stairs mount on to go in and out, put another bracket here, and I can just carry those stairs over, take out the kitchen stuff, the grill and whatever, stove, and then close this cabinet and never have to reopen it again until I'm packing up it. I got my 4 water filters for my system all taken out, and so they're dry, but got my hot water heater there at the bottom. And got a pantry here, gonna hold quite a bit of food. I've got hot and cold water. Eventually I'd put a sink out here, plumb that in, and then got my mini fridge and more storage here. So plenty of room for most of my cooking stuff and food. And then around this side I've got all my electric, my batteries, my inverters, and my diesel heater. And then just this slide out is the last exterior box with some tools, bottle jack. So that's the Type 1 that I ended up, working with. So this is a little bit bigger than the Type 3 box I have, but mainly I chose this one because of how deep the exterior cabinets are. The cabinets on this Crestline here are a little bit shallower, so you can see where this kind of married to the van. I had to chop it off with a Sawzall. And these cabinets are just a little bit shallower, so they've been a little trickier to use, I think. I couldn't have fit a mini fridge in that. I do like the two rear cabinets are kind of cool because you can access them from inside and outside, at least some of them. So if you had, your snacks or whatever, you could access it from the kitchen here or from inside. In the interior here, both of them have just over 72 inches of headroom, so work fine for me to stand up in. Yeah, this one was just so clean. Originally, that's what I went to buy. He had about 50 of these Crestline boxes. I guess all the motors were having electrical glitches, so the company just dumped all of them. And this was just so clean, really was spotless, no dents, nothing. But then I saw that Type 1 and, saw how useful those exterior boxes would be, and just got them both so I could sit and think about it and make some plans before I decided. And then this one I think I'm going to convert eventually into a camper trailer. So build a trailer to go underneath it, and then I can just hook up to this one if I have the ambulance box off the truck and, just going somewhere for a night or something, and tight space isn't an issue. I could just hook up to this one and go. So it'll be a while before I get to it, I think, but I can do some build videos of turning an ambulance box into a camper trailer. One more exterior box here. Again, you can access some of these from inside and out. So anyway, that's the Crestline. So thanks for watching.